I'm curious. A student who was at Michigan State, swam at Michigan State. Your family, they were all swimmers. How do you go from that to working with Logan Paul?
So I took a job working with Bob Proctor, and his whole thing. Most people probably don't know who Bob Proctor is. There's a documentary called The Secret, and he was one of the guys in it. It's all about law of attraction. It's all about using your mind to, visualize and create your reality. Basically like imagine yourself already having what it is.
Manifest
To manifest it. Yeah. And so I had started reading some of these books in college, and one thing led to another. I was working with Bob Proctor, and I was like reprogramming my subconscious mind for a couple of years while I was working with him. Just reading. I was like deep in study. I wasn't going to any parties. I was like celibate. I mean, I went like
Homie was dialed
I
in.
owned the personal book right that hole, dude. I was in deep and like just fully all in on, I started reading a book called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, and it just blew my mind. It was like
Wow.
unlike anything I had read before.
This is as a junior in college?
Yeah, sophomore going into junior year of college. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not very happy in my life right now. I'm going to read this and apply it and just go all in. And my life improved drastically. And I decided, so I was working with Bob Proctor, but then I decided to move to Los Angeles just because I wanted to try something new. So I had no contacts. I just literally moved out to Los Angeles, and I got a Airbnb right outside of LAX. That's all I don't know.
By your life.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm just gonna
Okay.
set up shop here by LAX. And I just started, networking with people, and I got invited to go film at an event with Jake Paul. I didn't know who Jake Paul was. This was before YouTube, anything like that.
This is like before Team 10?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually helped him. I was one of the first videographers of Team 10.
Wow.
So I helped him like get Team 10 going. And then my buddy Cade, I like connected him with Jake, and they made Team 10 like huge. So I was just in early, but the way I started working with Jake is I never charged him for anything in the beginning. I was just like, I was genuinely excited to make videos with other young people who were excited to make videos.
That's cool.
He just had a passion for making videos, and I was like, dude, if you want to make something, I'm like, I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like we had a shared passion, and I think it just like the universe connected us. I was in the right place at the right time, kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so I started working with Jake. I was working with Jake on and off for a couple of years, and then he introduced me to Logan. And then Logan and I would do some stuff here and there, and I eventually had a job working with Logan full time.
As videographer.
As his videographer, yeah.
Okay.
I lived in his house for a couple of years.
Oh, you did? You lived in the house? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. You were in the, nice, dude. Just getting hit with plates and stuff all the time, or what?
Yeah, yeah. Throwing a lot of plates on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, I came in, when I started working with Logan, everybody hated it.
Yeah.
So I started working with Logan when it wasn't.
I think the two things saved Logan Paul's career: the fight with KSI and the podcast, because it took for two different reasons. The fight with KSI took the insane spotlight off of the thing that happened and put it onto something else. Where it's like, all right, we all want to see you get knocked out, but like, I'll invest in seeing you get knocked out and not the thing that you did.
Yeah.
The podcast, what it did is it like made him a human being.
Yeah.
Where he's not just the bro who's throwing plates and like doing crazy stuff, but it's like, all right, he has like genuine opinions about things, and he thinks things through. Right. Which, of course, now in our society, we don't really, we just see the guy on the vlogs. He's crazy, but it was a real person. Yeah. How on earth did you become the co-host of that podcast, and what was the inception? Like, what's the Logan Paul impulsive inception story?
So, like I said, I came in when everybody's hating on Logan, and he was already building the podcast studio in his house. He had just moved to this like big house in Encino, California, and he was like building the podcast room, but it was kind of like this thought in the back of the mind. And then one day the podcast room was done, and we walked in, and he's like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do it by myself. So I think we should just like all three of us, let's just like record one, and let's see how it is. And he's like, yeah, like you guys can be the co-host.
That's crazy.
And so we're like, all right. And so we recorded it, and we were like, yeah, I have no idea how that was. And then we went and watched it back, and we were like cracking up. We were laughing at it. We thought it was funny. So we're like, all right, let's just do it like this. That was what kind of made the podcast cool. It's like I was coming more from like a spiritual, and Mike is hilarious.
Yeah.
And it just created this cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Where it was like kind of some balance. It was a balanced show.
Yeah.
Again, I felt like I was just thrust into this experience. Like it felt like
wild.
Again, I feel like God just like put me on that stage, and I made plenty of mistakes, and I could go back and do. I mean, like anything, I would have done things differently, but it was like I got to learn, and I got to learn in front of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, which is insane.
And I'm sure you all did, because none of you guys had experience. Mike was the love sack guy.
Yeah.
Logan
zero.
Right, and you guys just all like learned with the audience.
Yeah.
Was your first episode with like a sexpert or something?
Yeah, like sexpert. Had Steve-O on. We had like porn stars. I mean, there was a lot.
I remember you had some funny moments in the Call Her Daddy podcast.
Call Her Daddy, yeah.
I was struggling in that one.
Yeah, I did not like that.
that was a very strange episode.
It was.
Yeah.
I was not about it. Because I mean, even though I was in LA, I was still largely, actually pretty much the whole time I was working with Logan, I was celibate. I was
Really?
Yeah. Yep. I was like,
didn't you have a girlfriend at the time?
Okay, at a certain point, yes.
Okay.
But for like a good chunk of time with Logan, I was like
dialed
into meditation and celibacy.
Wow.
Like I stayed out of RBC completely. I didn't drink alcohol. I was like really trying to, I did get caught up in some things, like smoking weed a little bit too much. But so I had my vices. It's like I wasn't like a perfect human being.
What do you think was your favorite impulsive episode you were on?
Ooh, probably Steve-O.
That guy's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve-O got up on the desk and like jumped and caught his wiener between his legs.
The mangina, dude.
The flying mangina.
Yeah.
And I saw it from like the back end. That's
brutal.
Yeah. I saw like the backside of what that looked like from behind. And
you're like, this is my favorite episode from Impulsive.
I grew up like Jackass was Jackass came.
No, we still grew up with Jackass.
Okay. Yeah, Jackass was like the thing when we were kids. Like we all like watched that and then wanted to start doing crazy pranks and all this stuff. And so to like be then sitting with a guy that you were like watching in the movies and like and then seeing his dick, it's like they had all that saying. That's why I wanted to see.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen,
no idea.
His favorite episode is the time you got to see.
It's getting a little weird, but it was just like wild to see that all come full circle. Like be able to have Steve-O on a show.
Right.
And he was so cool, such a cool dude. So
is he Steve-O on and off camera? Yeah. Steve-O's just that guy.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's a cool dude.
He's not. A lot of people aren't the same as they're on camera. But he's a cool dude.
What's Logan life like on and off camera, in your opinion? Do you think it's like, is the podcast an accurate representation of what he's like?
I would say it's evolved. I think now Logan is very genuine on. I mean, you have like WWE Logan, which is clearly a character.
Yeah.
But that's what they're passionate about. Yeah. So I don't think it's
being the villain works for him there for sure. Yeah. Same thing with Jake and Mike Tyson. Like being the villain is working.
Both of them are really good at having a character online and then having a actually really deep, which is what I was shocked about most when I met Jake and Logan, is I was expecting them to be like these super weird, goofy guys, but when you like sit and talk with them, you can have super deep conversations. They really value you. They'll connect with you. And then they can also have this character online.
Right. No way. So like you're saying Jake Paul and his like jumping off the roof into a flaming pool era.
As soon as the camera's off, different.
Wow.
Completely different human being.
He just taps into that.
Yeah. Both him and Logan had this on switch. Where it was like overwhelming for me because I didn't have that on switch. So like out of nowhere they'd be like, all right, we're filming. And it took a while for me to get used to that.